Hey, I want to just drop in real quick and kind of share something that's really on my heart right now. Man, you know what? It's so crazy how we're so caught up and we're invested in looking at other people's downfall, or in some ways, we're so trapped in the past that we can't even see people in front of us that we've been knowing, you know, since school. You might be an adult now. You might be in your 30s, 40s, 50s. People you've been knowing since y'all were teenagers, and some of y'all been knowing each other even longer than that, go back to elementary with one another. And for whatever reason, the closeness that was there at one time is no longer there. And that relationship never was patched up. But if you're like me and you watch so many people that have died recently, you know what I mean? It's so crazy, man. Some people will get this, some people won't because you're not a minister. But since the pandemic started, in the last past 3 years, I've done so many funerals. I've officiated, um, whether I was just conducting the service or actually doing the eulogy. In some situations, I've done everything. I've had to do scripture reading, the eulogy, prayer, everything, and do everything at the gravesite. But it's crazy. You watch, you know, people in their 40s and younger. There have been some older individuals that have passed, but majority of the people are in their 40s or younger that are passing away. I've done several children, some of them as young as like 4 or 5 years old, and teenagers and people in elementary. You do all of these people, people are dying left and right. And people are still so caught up in these feuds that you had, or the beef you had with somebody back in the day, and you can't even see this other human being right in front of you that may be hurting or going through something serious right now. It's not even on your radar to even care. That just boggles my mind. That really, to tell you the truth, it makes absolutely no sense. And I know some people are going to push back on this and say, you don't know what I've been through with this person. You don't know. I may not know what each and every person that's going to see this video has been through, but I've been through some stuff too. From For those of y'all that have been knowing me for years, and not since I started walking with the Lord and since I've been got out of jail, the people that knew me for years before I went to prison and all that, I've been through some stuff as well. I know what it means for people to be snitching on you. I've been through that where several individuals that we all know were telling on me. I know what that looks like. I know what it looks like to be betrayed by some of the closest people to you. Betrayed. You know what I mean? So when I hear people say stuff all the time, and I listen to conversations, and I've even had some tough conversations with people that didn't really want to hear the truth. But I know what it looks like for people to disappoint you in such a way that you like, man, now we're enemies. You know what I mean? I didn't had beef with people before I went to jail, and was the one that approached some of these individuals when I got out, because now I'm walking with the Lord, and that stuff that was going on with us in the past doesn't matter anymore. Now, do we have to develop a certain level of trust, and will it ever get to a point to where I can just fully trust that individual? That determines the individual. That determines on how much they want to mature and how much they want to grow. I'm not telling you to totally forget everything, but it's too many people dying for us to sit around and act like we got everything together ourselves. And, just this 2023 just been crazy. So many people that I've known that have died. And some of y'all seen me at some of the funerals. Some of y'all have been at funerals that I've had to conduct. It's just crazy, man. I look at recently, um, in a couple of months span, I remember multiple people that I really knew really well that had passed away. I'll throw out some names that many of y'all know. I remember when Brandon Boone passed away recently. Um, it was crazy because I had just talked to him um, Friday before he had passed. He passed over the weekend. I had just talked to Brandon, and he had called me. He was like, Bake, you know, he's like, man, I ain't talked to you in a while. You usually hit me up and check on it. I say, man, I've been busy. That's my bad. And it was a refreshing conversation we had. We probably talked for about 2 hours. And then while I'm at work, they hit me on the radio because I had to go take care of something. And he was like, oh man, I forgot you said you was at work. He was like, my bad. I was like, nah. I say, man, I'll call you when I get off. And that was the last conversation I had with him because when I got off, I immediately got into some other stuff. I don't remember if it was somebody had called me or I had called somebody else back that had called me while I was at work and just going through the busyness of life. And it was crazy that um, my cousin's mom was I had just found out she was on hospice and she passed the next night, and then that same night some hours later Brandon had passed, and I'm just like, man, this is crazy. And then you fast forward a little bit and then you hear about Dirt, and it's just crazy because me and Dirt we had just had lunch together, just had lunch, and we was talking about things to do with life moving forward. He just telling me how proud he was of me, of what I'm doing in the community. And me and him had talked about projects that he wanted to do. We've been talking about this over the last couple of years. It was crazy. He kept on telling me, man, I'm gonna come by there. He was supposed to come by my house. We was talking about health, changing a diet, and taking herbs to flush out your system. We was talking about all of this, and then I get that phone call early that morning, and it's just like it messed me up because I got these people that are dying around me. You know what I mean? And I don't think we get it a lot of time. I really don't think we get the significance of other human beings dying and they're leaving this place. You know what I mean? And I know other people that have been hurt, and they have other people, but there are people that are going through stuff right now that are still alive. Whether you don't talk to them for various reasons or whatever it is, we have to show our level of maturity by moving past some things to check on some people or to encourage some people, to pray for some people, or whatever it is, our way of doing something positive in their life right now. We need to start doing stuff like that and quit being so stuck in the past. If you watch any of my sermons or when I'm teaching or something somewhere, I've mentioned this many times. I remember, matter of fact, me and Brandon Boone, we were talking about this. This is probably, well, the first time we talked about this was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I remember, uh, every year we were doing the backpack drive, and I remember him. He started doing that as well, and I'll call him. I say, man, I say, B, what you looking like right now? And he would tell me, man, ain't nobody supporting me, and I holler this and this and that. I say, man, I already told you I got you. You know what I mean? And so we would talk, and I remember, I'm not gonna say who the person was, but he was like, he told me about multiple people. They was like, he brought my name up, and he told him, he was like, yeah, because if you've ever been around me and Brandon, You know, since I've been the way that I am now, Brandon would always call me his pastor. He was like, he said, you know, you my pastor, and if something happened, you're gonna speak at my funeral and this and this. And he's always, and it's crazy. He told me that Friday, the last time I talked to him. Man, I don't really want to get into all that, but it's he told me this. He said the person was like, Jay, a minister? What? I know Jay. I remember how Jay was. And every person he would tell me that would say this was somebody that was stuck on some stuff that I was doing or that I had did back in when we was at LBJ in high school. So something that I did 25, maybe even 30 years ago, people are so stuck on stuff they can't see what God is doing in my life and what God is trying to do through me to be a blessing to other people. And not just me. I believe somebody's going to hear this that is stuck on some stuff of the past or somebody else around them, that you have the ability to reach out to that person right now and connect with them in a way that you're saying, look, forget the stuff that happened between us. How are you doing? See, that's maturity. See, we live in a society that's so selfish that we can't move past things, small things. So how in the world will we ever be able to move past complicated, big things? By the grace of God, I'm not who I used to be, but I can tell you this. I might not have fully arrived, but one thing I do know is I'm not finna hold on to stuff in the past and allow that to keep me from moving forward. I just can't do it. Grace, mercy, and peace be with you.